When you belong to a community, it makes you feel safe. It inspires you to thrive. It honors your achievements, and it makes you feel at home. For nearly 20 years, Belmont Village Senior Living has created communities that have enriched the lives of seniors and their families, providing places where seniors lead healthy, purposeful lives under the care of staff who truly understand their needs. Belmont Village offers assisted living, independent living, and memory care in a continuum that supports residents when care needs change and providing for couples of varying care needs.
It's nice that we can be together. She needs a little bit more care than I do, and I don't have to do any cooking or shopping.
Aging is a gift. We invite you to embrace it with us and be a part of our community and our family. Belmont Village Senior Living, the community built for life.
This morning our guest is Dr. James Brewer. He's an MD, PhD at UCSD, the Shiley Marcos Alzheimer's Disease Research Center. He is a professor of neurology and radiology. He's the director of the Shiley Marcos Alzheimer's Disease Research Center and the department chair of the Department of Neurosciences at UCSD. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
You're a busy guy, and there was a lot of initials there. So UCSD is University of California, San Diego, is really leading the charge, and the Shiley Marcos Center is really on the forefront of all that.
It really is.
So we would really like the details of your role and where you see this going up on the hill. We call it up on the hill, for those that don't know. It's UCSD, it's on the hill. What's going on up there?
Well, thanks for the question, and thanks for having me. I'm very excited to be here and to talk about the work that we're doing. We're very passionate about trying to fight against this really awful disease of Alzheimer's disease, and we've been working on it for 30 years actually at UCSD. Wow. It was one of the first groups of this new center of Alzheimer's disease research that was started in the 80s. Wow. That the National Institutes of Health decided to let's do this in a more coordinated fashion, and they set up about 5 of them, and now there are about 30 of these across the country. And ours is really at the forefront of research against Alzheimer's disease. We follow about 500 individuals, not all of them with Alzheimer's disease. In fact, it's very important that we study people who don't have Alzheimer's disease so we can see what happens with the healthy brain as it ages and what's different about those that have complaints and those that are in the earliest phases of the disease. And we use a lot of unique, very amazing tools to study this disease, brain imaging and all kinds of different types of approaches to really get at the basis of what this disease is doing to the brain.
How many people do you have working within the center?
I think there's about 30 individuals, yeah. So it's a good team effort. We have such a great spirit. People that come there feel like this is a home for them to really be able to get the support. We do all kinds of different activities for support groups for individuals and families that are suffering from the disease, and so we really are a resource for what's available in the community and what's available for care in this disease as well.
And your primary source of funding?
From the NIH, but also we very much rely on generous individuals to help provide support. A lot of the work that we do is not really covered by the NIH, and so we really do rely on philanthropy in a lot of ways. But most of our money comes from the NIH. It's about $2.8 million a year that comes from the NIH. So it allows us to really get after this disease with basically all the teamwork of UC San Diego. So even though I said 30 individuals are working in the center, it's more like the entire research, Alzheimer's research community, including those beyond UC San Diego, are making use of our cohort to better understand how that can be stopped, how the disease can be stopped.
So the other 30 locations that are working with the NIH as well, are you collaborative?
Absolutely,
okay.
Yeah, so there's a National Alzheimer's Coordinating Center where all of us send our data to. Okay. And that's a very exciting resource. It's housed up in University of Washington in Seattle. And so all of us send our images there. But in fact, and our data from what we're collecting across those different individuals across the country. But in fact, all the imaging from many sites come to UC San Diego to be processed, because we do have a real center of excellence for being able to provide image processing in unique ways, to be able to measure the brain structures to see whether things are changing across time. And that's turned out to be a very important measure to see if a drug is taking a hold in the disease. And so it turns out that that's a very appropriate new way to look at whether a drug is actually helping stop this neurodegeneration in the brain.
How long have you been with the organization?
Well, I've been there for 12 years. Only in the last year have I taken the directorship, but I've been on their clinical core as a neurologist for 12 years. It was really started under really my hero, Leon Thal, who unfortunately died in a plane crash almost 10 years ago now. Actually, it's almost exactly 10 years ago. It was a real loss for the field because he was an absolute visionary. And he was the one that actually made the relationship with Darlene Shiley, and that was able to get Darlene Shiley to really support our center. And she's been just a fantastic philanthropist for us.
Advocate in town.
She really is, yeah.
And she's had her experience as well.
Yes, absolutely.
So in the 12 years, I mean, everything ebb and flows
Yeah.
in terms of what's the hot button today, what's the hot button 6 years ago, and where have you kind of give us a history of that?
Yeah, well, I really think, and we might get into talking about biomarkers. Biomarkers is one of the areas of research that we are very, very excited about, and we do a lot of it. We're probably, in the nation, probably the center that's doing the most of these type of biomarkers, imaging biomarkers, looking at the brain to see whether structural changes are taking place, taking fluid from the back through a spinal tap or lumbar puncture, which actually in expert hands is very, very well tolerated. I know it sounds bad, but in our hands, people say, that's all? That was it? You know, and but that's a very important thing because it bathes the brain, and so the proteins that are involved in this disease leach out into that fluid, and we can learn a lot by selecting, you know, and measuring the proteins that are in the fluid. We also do PET imaging, which is called positron emission tomography, which is a way to actually directly look at the proteins that are going awry in the brain of patients. And this happens 18 years is the belief. That's 18 years before the cognitive complaint takes place. And you can look in the brain and see these proteins. Now, I say that that's a blessing and a curse, right? The blessing is if we could stop this disease, we will be able to see that protein way before the neurodegeneration takes place. And then we can stop this illness before even a person's having a complaint. The curse of it is, at this stage where we don't have something to stop it, we don't want to take individuals and just make them worried for 18 extra years by having shown them the protein that's in the brain. But it really is an important area of doing research. And so we handle that and work on that and bring people in and decide whether in people that don't have a complaint, we really don't return those results, although we oftentimes know whether they have the protein in their brain. And there are trials.
Their choice not to know the results? Okay.
So that there are trials now that will enroll people and we are doing it at the Shiley Marcos ADRC, where an elderly person who has the protein can be randomized to a medication that tries to stop this disease and tries to pull that protein out of the brain. That's called the A4 study, and it's being run at our center.
And you have to be 65.
65, you know all this.
I tried.
That's, oh yes, so, it really is. It's a very innovative trial and very exciting, and we're hopeful that starting the treatment that early, way before the other proteins go awry, we might be able to halt this disease. That's our hope.
Is that a double-blind study?
It is. Okay. So in fact,
so it's similar to the study going on in Colombia.
Oh yeah, So you saw the 60 Minutes episode where, in fact, yes, where you really do know in these individuals. We might clue the audience in on that 60 Minutes episode.
Yeah, it aired back in October, November.
Actually, just and so I think that's where this field is going, where we want to see whether we can intervene at such an early phase that we can stop this cascade of events from taking place. Because it may be that once you get to a phase where the other proteins are going awry, we might not be able to stop that. There was very recently, actually just last week, a reporting of results from one of our most promising treatments, and it failed.
Pfizer? Was it?
It was a Lilly drug.
Lilly.
No,
I don't mean to pick on Pfizer.
called solanezumab.
Yes.
And so you might have seen the press
Yes,
about it.
yeah.
It was very interesting because they did 3 different trials of this, and in each one of them there was a slowing of the disease by about 10 to 20%. But it wasn't enough to cause it to be significant. It really, it sounds great, 10 to 20%. Well, it's such a slowly progressive disease that amount made it like 1 point on a scale, and it just was not, after 18 months to have a single point on a scale, not really enough to say that we should go through with this drug. But it might give us a foothold to say what is going on. If we could slow this disease, even put a little chink in the armor of this disease.
Well, you know the expression, with every failure, you're one step closer to
Yeah.
success.
Yeah, you learn a lot from that, and I think we learned a lot from that.
So if 1% over 18 months was really not valid, what percentage are you looking for in
It
that
was
18-month time?
so close. It really was close. We look for a certain threshold. That's basically, you got to place your bets. Otherwise, there's no, clear goalpost. So the goalpost was almost hit, but it just was off by probably, a point, an average or so. But still wouldn't have been. Still, you just wish you would have gotten more than that. But maybe it does. It certainly does teach us something about this disease, and we'll learn more as we keep trying these
Now,
drugs.
do the pharmaceutical companies coming to you to say, what are you guys doing and how can we help?
Absolutely,
Okay,
absolutely. So in fact, one of the centers that was started at UC San Diego in 1991, called the Alzheimer's Disease Cooperative Study, is really a leading place for people to learn about how to do trials. And now, as you may have also heard from the news, we have another center called the Alzheimer's Therapeutic Research Institute, both of these in San Diego. So essentially, the hub of Alzheimer's disease research is here in San Diego. I mean, no doubt about it. And so it's a very exciting place to be for someone like me who's been interested in this disease for, I guess now going back almost 27 years. I started wanting to do this when I was an undergraduate, and I stuck with it.
Do you see the elimination of the disease or just a way to manage? I mean, what's the mission?
I hope elimination. I mean,
Elimination, right.
absolutely, because if we're learning so much about the molecular bases of this disease, that we should, with these smart neuroscientists. In fact, again, UC San Diego and the Mesa, the highest concentration of neuroscientists in the world. And so if we have these brains all working and saying, I know this is the process, we should be able to get on to this disease and eliminate it, because we know what molecular cascade is taking place. So let's just do whatever it takes to stop this cascade from taking place.
So when you have a medication that you feel is actually going to work early on, will your subjects in your studies become younger?
Yes, I think, and that there's so much to this disease. It keeps throwing curveballs at us, and it really, really is hard to stop in the later phases of the disease. And so a lot of the trials have kept pushing earlier, right? So we want to start doing diseases in the phase called mild cognitive impairment, meaning that person is still able to do everything they used to be able to do, but they're saying, gosh, I really am having problems with my memory. And that is definitely a group that we are seeking to study at the Shiley Marcos ADRC. So we really do hope that your audience calls the number that's posted on the screens,
yes.
and
Call
looks
to
at the
action.
website, and please really do participate. We really are seeking.
So you are still, you're not over.
Oh, we are seeking
more people.
We want people in this cohort for sure.
Not yet. I'm close.
We really do want participants, and healthy participants, and those with cognitive complaints. One of the challenges that I see, though, also, is that at the later phases of the disease, which is a very difficult time of the disease, there are fewer and fewer trials for those individuals, because everybody understands it's very hard to stop this disease at those late phases. So we hope that we might be able to come up with other approaches that could at least make use of the knowledge that comes from the patients that are even in the later phases.
Well,
But
in
at
the
this,
later phases,
yeah,
you don't always get a responsive
it
person
really
either.
is.
I mean,
It really is. So our center, as well as all the nation's center, has been shifting towards those very early phases, and so that's the group that we're seeking to recruit: healthy individuals, people with cognitive complaints, and those with the very mildest phase of the disease, where they're still able to do everything that they used to be able to do.
Is there a reason why not 50 to 65? Because that seems to be a trend.
I think
early.
probably, you know, what we do, in fact, as folks call the number and go to the website, they'll see that one of the things that we are very, very kind of insistent on is that we want to be able to have a commitment to that individual throughout their life. That means we're going to follow them. Can be 30 years, and then if it's a 50-year-old, we're going to be following them for 40 years, because we want to get the brain at the end. When the person does die, we ask to get an autopsy to really confirm our work and say, were we correct? Is there any of these bad proteins in the brain? So that means we have to really be selective in terms of, and a person that commits to our research is really part of our family. Then really they'll see it, that they'll be coming in there every year, many times for years and years, and we've developed a relationship with them. And
do they all
with their
meet
families.
each other? I mean,
A lot of times they do. Yes, we do open house events. We do support groups, as I mentioned, and out and about, and a lot of different events. But certainly, we give an update about the research every year, and just so it's a really nice.
Can
group.
someone give directly? I mean, you're a nonprofit within the UC.
Absolutely,
So
especially at the end of the year. It's a good time to think about Shiley Marcos, ADRC.
Good. Right at the camera. Right at the camera.
Marcos,
Talk to your estate
ADRC.
planning attorney and put that. So
it really is helpful for us. It really, really is helpful for us to have that kind of flexible funds to be able to make sure we can recruit this top talent. We look across the nation and say, who's the most exciting person to recruit to our team? And with those kind of funds help us a lot.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Brewer, thank you so much for being here today. You are a wealth of information, and this is just really something that is very on top of a lot of people's minds as we are aging. The children of the seniors, the children themselves who are now baby boomers who are reaching 70 years of age. And what UCSD and the Shiley Marcos Center is doing, congratulations on becoming the director. That's quite an honor and quite because I know you have a lot of people.
Yes,
well, a lot of personalities.
It's a lot of work.
A lot of personality doctors.
We have a memory screening day coming up in January, so it's a great place for folks to come learn about our center. Come to our memory screening day and kind of get a sense of what we do.
We'll be back with more Senior Stay or Go TV.
When you belong to a community, it makes you feel safe. It inspires you to thrive. It honors your achievements, and it makes you feel at home. For nearly 20 years, Belmont Village Senior Living has created communities that have enriched the lives of seniors and their families, providing places where seniors lead healthy, purposeful lives under the care of staff who truly understand their needs. Belmont Village offers assisted living, independent living, and memory care in a continuum that supports residents when care needs change and providing for couples of varying care needs.
It's nice that we can be together. She needs a little bit more care than I do, and I don't have to do any cooking or shopping.
Aging is a gift. We invite you to embrace it with us and be a part of our community and our family. Belmont Village Senior Living, the community built for life.